In the status quo that we often see right now, there are so much inequality and gap that is happening in the school learning process, either between a student in a classroom or the teachers as the stakeholder that play roles in the teaching them. And there are so many problems about how unevenness the students' ability in the classroom when the school does not arrange their student by ability, or in another word, just mix them based on their age. And there are so many complaints about when the teachers cannot teach the lower achiever student and the high achievers at the same time because the pace of each student in receiving lessons is different in each individual. And school as the important stakeholder who play roles to give an education must give an equal teaching process to the student to standardize the learning teaching process at the classroom so both students, whether the lower achiever or higher achiever, will get the equal process and competition based on their intelligence and academic performance. And that is what we want to achieve and propose as the proposition side of the house. And now, why we think arranging students based on their age is not effective for the learning teaching process? Because arranging students based on their age, even though their age is equal, but their ability in academic is not equal yet. And it doesn't make sure the older student can already keeping up with the subject, and it is the same on the younger student. Because here we see in the learning process in one classroom, if we arrange the student not by their academic performance but by age, we worry about the individual ability to keep up with the diverse kind of intelligent student in one class and in their circumstances in a class. And we afraid in the end this will create such a gap between the student with low academic performance and the high academic performance. And this will also seen as a discrimination towards these two types of students. And why we as the proposition side of the house support this motion? First thing is, as the educational institution, we want to give the best learning process for both students and the teachers. We have problems in this learning teaching process if we arrange them based on their intelligence, which is the first. Every teachers have a different ability and performance to teach the student. And teaching a group of like ability students allow teachers to adjust the pace of instructions to students' needs, so it will be standardized, equal, and teachers are not overwhelmed in teaching these two types of students. For example, a teacher might instruct at a slower pace, providing more repetitions and reinforcement with a group of low achieving students than he or she would with a group of high achievers. So if the student arranged by their academic ability performance, it will easier to spread the lesson and make students easier to keep up with the lessons and make the learning process by being in one group with the equal ability performance like them. And it will be easier to control and have a sight on these students. And now the second one is that the class competitions will not be fair if we involve these two types of students' intelligence in one class, because the higher achiever student will be hard to keeping up with the lower achiever friends, and they have to depend on their friends and they will be hard to improving themselves. So if we arrange students by their intelligence, their learning ability, such as a class of high achievers will be given more opportunities for independent research and cooperative group discussion than a group of low achievers will given, and vice versa with the low achiever student. And high achievers might be asked to apply their skill to solving higher level thinking problems. And now, meanwhile, with the low achiever student, they sometimes feel insecure by the higher achiever, and the gap between them is oftenly created. And the teachers also sometimes giving more eyes on the smarter student, and it is hard for teachers to divide the focus on teaching these two types of students in one classes. So that's why we want to create such an equality to this to both of students. The mechanism that we want is that by doing a selection test or monitor the individual student for the first or second semester. So in the next semester we will know on how much their academic ability is. And these are why, as the good educational institution, we would like to propose the standardizations of learning process so both students will have the same treatment and pace, so they will be easier to keeping up with their circumstances, and the teacher will not difficult to divide their focus since the students have already arranged based on their academic performance. Because if we arrange the same age students with different academic ability, this will not improve achievements because it is hard to equalize their academics from the very first place. And so that is why by doing this way, we can manage the classroom better, because all students with the groups based on their academic performance will enjoy and will be comfortable. They are comfortable in doing their learning process and get the same access according to their talents and ability, which the class based on age could not be will never achieve that. And also, if the opposition will worrying about the discrimination that will happen, we think this will not create a discrimination because each classes has the same pace of academic process, and out of the learning process they will still get along with their friends from different classes and from different ages. And even when they are even if they are graduate, they will still will be get along with all of their friends with the different type of ages. So arranging students based on intelligence will give more advantages for all the stakeholders to oversee the pace of the academical process and erasing the gap that is happening in a classroom between the lower and higher achiever. So they have a proper teaching process and keep up with their friends in the same circumstances. So if they're combined into one class whose standards of good ability, in the end it will result a great learning result yet. And that group students according to ability rather than age allow students to progress at their own rates and can result in improve their achievement. So because their circumstances is the same as them, so it will be easier for them to keeping up with their lessons and will not getting such as being pushed by being insecure by their students who are having more pace in receiving subjects and so on. So it will be equal for both students to improve themselves with their circumstances, which is as the same as what their ability is, and it will be easier for the teachers to teach this both sides of student and and the teacher focus will not being divided to teach this the lower of achiever and the higher achiever in one classes, so they will know on how pace they have to giving a learning process in this class, and how much pace they have to give in another class. And that is why we as the proposition side of the house would support this motion by arranging students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age. That's all. Thank you.